What's up? It's Tom. Thanks for clicking on this video. We are going to discuss how the Twins bullpen is shaping up and some other spring training items. But first, a congratulations to Johan Santana, pitching coach of the Venezuelan World Baseball Classic team, on his gold medal. There you see around his neck. A tremendous World Baseball Classic. An outstanding game last night that Venezuela won. So much fun, such a big upset. Those guys were so hyped. Again, a great game, a bunch of great games in this WBC. But yeah, congrats to Johan. Pablo Lopez was supposed to be a big ace of that team, but of course his injury made that not possible. But Johan Santana, our boys out there. And then getting into the bullpen topic with the Twins, keep in mind there may be trades still. All the teams across baseball are kind of sorting things out. There's lots of guys who are maybe non-roster invitees or have out of options who are kind of on the bubble of these teams. There's going to be a lot of decisions made, and the Twins potentially could be changing this group. But, oh my gosh, as things stand, this is what I would carry as the bullpen. Taylor Rogers, Cole Sands, Anthony Banda, Eric Ordizzi, Cody Funderburk, Justin Topa, Liam Hendricks, and Dan Altavilla. Was hoping that some guys would emerge this spring. And, a couple of these guys are not on the 40-man roster, like Liam Hendricks and Dan Altavilla. I would not really say in particular that they emerged. And if anything, I feel even worse about the bullpen than I did coming into spring training, primarily because Justin Topa is such an... all of the guys who have played in the majors are pretty important to this bullpen. But Justin Topa is a uncomfortably important guy in this bullpen. And he's looked just terrible. I'm still putting him on the opening day roster and just like crossing my fingers that he finds himself in April. But yeah, it's a rough situation. Just some extra notes on that. Liam Hendricks and Altavilla, again, would need to be added to the 40-man roster. We'll talk about how potentially that might work out in a sec. I would go with Cody Funderburk over Andrew Chafin, who's another guy not on the 40-man roster, a veteran competing for a job. I don't think you can take two because that would mean you're going to have four left-handers. I don't think you can have four left-handers in a bullpen. There's not a rule against it or anything, but I just think that it would be a very strange team build. And then I want to call out Travis Adams. Does not look like he'll be ready for opening day. The thing with Funderburk and Chafin is Funderburk has options and Chafin is not on the roster. I'm guessing he probably has an opt-out. They're not always made available. So maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But most of the guys like Hendricks, Altavilla, Chafin, Orlando Arcia, those guys typically have opt-outs to where if you don't put them on the opening day roster, they have the choice whether either to go to St. Paul and stay in the org or become a free agent again. Some of these guys do, I'm sure. Some of them don't, I'm sure, though. So we'll see which ones do and don't. There's also just the potential that these guys just straight up retire. Some of these guys are getting older, too, instead of going and playing in the minors. But another note, Travis Adams, there's not really been any official word on this, but he does not seem like he's going to be ready for opening day. Just kind of looking at things, I think he pitched on like March 1st, and then he's been down with elbow issues, inflammation that doesn't hopefully sound super serious, but he hasn't been pitching in games. So, and then another guy to keep in mind who's in the picture is Zach Kent, a guy they claimed off waivers in February. So that's a right-handed reliever who is on the 40-man roster. I don't know that much about him. I know he doesn't throw that hard, but he gets his slider is his primary pitch, if I'm remembering correctly, and he gets lots of strikeouts with that pitch, or has in AAA. So maybe I'm selling him short, but he's a name in this mix as well. So switching gears to the 40-man roster. If the Twins do need to add guys, their 40-man is currently full. And there are certainly some DFA candidates, some guys who you could remove. Kent is one of those guys. Raya, I think, Marco Raya. Would he get claimed right now? Again, there's so many teams that have their own shuffling going on. I'm not sure, and have 40-man spots that they're trying to open themselves. Maybe this would be a good time to kind of try to sneak Marco Raya through waivers. I don't know. On the hitter side, I put Alex Jackson and Jay Outman in Itals there because they're both out of options. I think Outman's probably pretty safe. Jackson, I don't know how they could carry three catchers with Jeffers and Caratini. So I think it's hard to find space for him on the opening day roster. Tristan Gray and Ryan Kreidler, you probably don't need to keep both of those guys necessarily. They both do have options though, so they're kind of handy guys to have around. And then Wagaman's in that mix too. Might not come all the way down to any of those guys. Again, with Jackson um, out of options, that could open up a space. And then hey, maybe the 60-day injured list, the guys on that list do not count against your 40-man roster. Travis Adams, again, there's not really been anything concrete about him, but maybe he needs to go there. David Festa also hasn't been throwing with a shoulder injury. Perhaps he could use a 60-day. Maybe he's not going to be ready in that window. I have no idea. That's speculation, but those are kind of two things to keep in mind as possible avenues to open up 40-man roster space. Over to Orlando Arcia. Again, mentioned that he's another guy who's a non-roster invitee, and if you want him to be the backup shortstop, you need to open up a spot for him. But if that's the scenario, it's kind of like the whole Zach Kent situation. If Zach Kent's not good enough to beat out Liam Hendriks or Dan Altavilla or whoever, like, is he really that important to keep around? I mean, you always need depth, but if you got to open the spots at a certain point. If Tristan Gray and Ryan Kreidler can't beat out Orlando Arcia, do you really need to keep both of them around at that point? I don't know. And then, I mean, those guys might even clear waivers. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, these are considerations. You do have to open up space. But if we're being completely honest, it's not like, oh, you can't. You look at the 40-man roster and you just can't possibly see anybody that you could part ways with. But it's just something to keep in mind. And again, keep in mind as well, there might be trades. The Twins ought to be very active on the trade market right now. They have a lot of needs, and they have a very deep farm system. I'm not suggesting they should trade any top prospects for bullpen help, but they probably shouldn't need to. You can probably get some bullpen, especially when you're in this need of help. You can get some bullpen help without making any kind of really crazy prospect additions and trades. So hopefully, again, I was hoping in spring training, either A, we would look at things and feel comfortable moving a starting pitcher into the bullpen, but with Pablo out for the year, with Festa not throwing, that's not really a super realistic option. And then B was hoping some of these other guys would really elevate themselves. And even, again, Liam Hendriks hasn't looked great. Dan Altavilla was away with a WBC. Andrew Chafin hasn't looked outstanding. He's pitched okay. It's not a great situation as we knew it was going to be. But again, I was crossing my fingers somebody would emerge. Moving on to just a quick Sire of Fort Myers finalist update. It's been kind of a blah year in terms of Sire of Fort Myers, to be honest. And when you have this much uncertainty with the big league roster and this many guys kind of competing for bench spots, it just kind of creates a lot of opportunities for guys like the Wagamans, the Grays, the Kreidlers to be playing a lot, and not a lot of opportunity for some of these Sire of Fort Myers candidates. But Gabriel Gonzalez and Manuel Rodriguez, both of them have been reassigned to minor league camp, but both of them made good impressions during the time that they had. And there are times where guys in minor league camp do get in official spring training games still, even though they are not officially in big league camp. So we could still see them. And then some of the guys I mentioned earlier, Chafin and Hendricks, they've pitched okay. Don't even want to get deeper into the numbers. And then Cody Lawyerson has pitched well. He's no longer the 40-man roster. If you remember, he was removed from the 40-man roster, claimed by the Angels, and then the Angels DFA'd him. He went unclaimed, and the Twins signed him as a free agent. So he's back in the system, not on the 40-man roster, so therefore eligible for Sire of Fort Myers, and he's pitched well. On Gabriel Gonzalez, Bobby Nightingale of the Star Tribune relayed that he's been working out at first base. That's an outstanding development, in my opinion. No idea how he would look there. Haven't really seen him move like an infielder would a lot. So, he's not a good right fielder, so that doesn't give me a ton of confidence. His biggest defensive asset is his arm, so obviously moving him to first base would kind of lose some of that value. But that's where opportunities are. As a right-handed hitter, I mean, there's definitely outfield opportunities for him. At first base, even though Josh Bell, yes, is there, I think of him more as a DH. So there should be opportunities there. Hopefully, he has shown himself well enough at first here in spring training to get opportunities with the Saints. So Bobby's been great at relaying a lot of stuff from the minor leagues on the backfields this spring. So I just want to give him a shout out as well. But Thanks for checking this out. Again, new zine is out. I'll put a link down in the description to that one. It's the 2025 year in review and the 2026 prospect edition. Also, check out Limestone Pipeline. Hopefully, going to be sharing some video on the spring breakout game, which is tomorrow, over at Limestone Pipeline. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you watching this one. We'll talk again soon.